it to you in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, we're going to be talking about all things commercial real estate and investing with a guru. That's just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I know a lot of people watching this show may have money invested in stocks and bonds and maybe some other collectibles, but real estate investing can be frightening to people. Or they see these get-rich-quick schemes on TV and they make a bad investment and then they're soured for life. But to talk about how lucrative commercial real estate investing can be is a guru, Eric Bodawala. He is the co-founder and COO of Elevate Commercial Real Estate Investing Group. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the invite and happy to be here.
Well, I love to hear the story of an entrepreneur's journey. So do you remember your very first deal?
Yeah, it goes back going 14 years now. I was living in Miami, Florida. You know, I had a, well, it's actually funny because it was a single family house deal. So I was working full time and I was putting out "We Buy Houses" signs. And I went out in the middle of the night, midnight, put up a "We Buy Houses" sign that I had handwritten, got a ladder and put it up on those wooden poles. And a lady ended up calling me and said, "Hey, I want to sell my house." And you know, when we walked in, she said, "Hey, I don't care what happens here, I'm going to sell you my house." She liked me. So I was like, okay, great. I felt a lot more comfortable, right, because I was nervous. But ended up making $26,000 on that deal. It was just a simple wholesale deal that I put it under contract and just sold to another investor. So that's what kind of kicked off my real estate career.
Wow, and you remember that shock, like, hey, I'm good at this. I think I can make a living at this.
Yeah, well, when that happened, I was like, man, like, I need to quit my job immediately. So I put in my 30-day notice with my job, or 2-week notice with my, I'm thinking real estate, 30-day notice with tenants. I put in my 2-week notice with my boss. I was working at UPS at the time, and then the rest is history. Been doing real estate ever since. So.
Okay, so then you graduate from flipping homes to buying apartment complexes, and that's got to be scary.
Yeah, it's definitely a transition. Buying houses is it could be a one-man show. It's easy to do. But with multifamily, it's kind of a team game. You know, you really have to like nail down with the financials and study, because you're buying a business ultimately, right? And you are raising money from investors and registering things with the SEC. So it's definitely a lot more complicated, right? There is a learning curve, and when I first started, it was difficult to understand because it's just more complex. But like anything, practice makes perfect, and here I am.
Outstanding. And you've been recognized by the media. There's an article we want to put up on the screen right now about one of your recent transactions. How far is your territory? I mean, are you working all over Texas, all over the nation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm buying all over the United States. Right now, I own properties in 3 different states: Texas, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. Actually, closing another deal in South Dakota this Friday. But we'll buy nationwide, right? As long as it fits our criteria. We look for like B and C value add multifamily. There are certain markets that we like, certain criteria that we look for, at least a population of 100,000, certain medium-sized income or household median income of at least $45,000 or higher. So, we're looking in all different states and, the Southeast, Midwest. We try to stay out of, the Northeast just because of the temperatures and plumbing and stuff like that. But,
sure.
Wherever there's a good opportunity, we'll go.
Tell us about the pandemic, how that impacted your business. There's got to be a lot of distressed properties.
Yeah, well, 2020 was an interesting year, to say the least, and 2021 has started out to be pretty interesting as well. But COVID-19, as far as new acquisitions, it almost brought everything to a halt. There was really nothing to do because you had banks that were, scared of making moves, and so a lot of them were backing out on deals. A big part of our business is equity and raising money from investors, and a lot of investors were just holding off to make sure that they knew what was going to happen. There was so much uncertainty, right? So that really affected our business. And then from a standpoint of our current assets with our residents, not knowing if they were going to pay rent, businesses closing down, a lot of our tenants are, working class people working at restaurants, all those businesses that were closed down, working at bars, and so it was interesting, right? So we had to communicate with a lot of our residents and just make sure that we could be there to assist them however they could and make sure they pay rent. And so far, so good. I mean, there was some ups and downs, but right now everything is looking pretty good, especially now that the moratoriums and stuff for evictions have been lifted now as of 2021 here, at least in Texas at least.
And one of the secrets to Eric's success is he has a great team around him. Let's go ahead and roll that clip now. That's exciting. So Eric, if let's say there's a wealthy doctor watching this show right now and he's like,
Yeah.
man, I've always thought about dabbling in commercial real estate. He or she comes to you and says, Eric, I'd love to get into multifamily, and you help guide the process. How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our investors are doctors, lawyers, whomever, people that have money to spend and want to invest and are looking for different types of returns. So I would say that the biggest reason that people invest with us is the tax benefits that multifamily offers. I mean, the government offers so many tax benefits for providing housing to people. People will put in money into our deals, they'll participate in ownership of the deal, they get a preferred return, and they're able to write off income on their taxes every single year. We issue K-1s at the beginning of each year, normally around March, and that's really the biggest incentive to investing in multifamily because of the tax benefits, right? When you're making so much income, you rather keep that in your pocket and not pay it to the government. But
When I have to believe that going with a company like yours with the experience that you have, it takes some of the risk out. There's always risk when you're investing, but
yeah.
For that same doctor to try and do it himself or herself, they may be rolling the dice.
Yeah. Well, so there's two different types of investing. You can either passively invest or you can be on the active side, right? Personally, I do both. I invest in other people's deals and I look at that operator and I look at their experience, make sure that they're trustworthy, and see what their track record is like, right? So whenever somebody's investing in a deal, I always challenge people to do their homework. Look at the team, look at the operations, get referrals, and make sure that they're comfortable investing with them, right? And see if they've gone full cycle on deals and exactly what it is that they're doing today. So vet just like anything, vet who it is you're going to be putting your money with. But what I tell people is, look, everything is done legally and ethically. We register everything with the SEC, and the most important thing is our investors' money, right? Because you're building a long-term relationship. Most of these deals are 5-year holds. So, and some we sell, sooner, sometimes 2-3 years. But for the most part, it's a long-term deal, and we try to maintain that relationship and deliver what we say we're going to do.
How far out in advance do you look? So like right now we're in a recession. It may be a very temporary recession. Are you looking 5 years ahead saying that, we think this particular property 5 years from now will be?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single deal that we buy is bought on a pro forma basis, right? So we have projections based on that market, based on population growth and income growth, and what we think rents can be increased in that market. So everything is projections. Obviously we don't have a crystal ball, we can't tell the future, but we try to do the best to be conservative with that, and then with that comes projected returns, right? And for the most part, we've been able to hit all of our returns. I mean, we have 7 properties now. We've refinanced a couple. We're in the process of refinancing another 5, paying back the investors a good chunk of their money they've already invested, and then at the end of it, get that 16 to 18% IRR that we promised.
Outstanding. Well, you and I are both passionate about entrepreneurs organizations, so I want to give a shout out to them. How long have you been in EO?
EO right now going on, I think, 3.5 years. It's been amazing. It's awesome to have like-minded individuals that you can go to, share ideas, come to with problems and issues. And sometimes you don't have people in even your closest circle that you can share those ideas with. So for me, EO has been invaluable, personally and in business. So it's been great.
And they have forums inside of EO, and so often it's 7 or 8 people who are in your mastermind group, and they may come from different walks of life, and you can always glean something from their experience, can't you?
Yeah, it's great because everyone's in a different business and a different industry. You can see their different points of view, and something that you may not see one way, they may see another way, but just because they're in a different industry. So it really is fantastic, and I think that's when experience share, which is what EO is really about. It's not, okay, well, you do this, I'm going to tell you how to do this. It's, well, this was my experience based on what you're telling me. So I think that has helped us, and in my particular forum, we've been pretty strong, and I know everyone in that group, it's very valuable.
Outstanding. Well, you've been a great guest. We're going to have you back again soon. We're going to put the website up to end the segment. Elevate Commercial Investment Group, and that would be elevatecig.com.
Correct,
is
yeah.
the website. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.